Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, November 17th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle. I am very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker, as always, on Fridays. My friend, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. It's Friday, so it's a beautiful thing.
That's right. Well, let's get right into it, J-Book. I found it interesting yesterday, not all that surprising, but interesting that Urban Meyer was asked about the upcoming early signing period in football. It feels like we've been talking about the possibility of an early signing period for like the last decade, maybe longer. What had happened? Why is there one in basketball? Why is there not one in football? Well, there finally is going to be one this year. For the listeners that don't know, it's December 20th through the 22nd. So a quick early signing period. Then you're going to have the regular signing period the first Wednesday of February. Somebody who's not a fan of this, J-Book, is Urban Meyer, and he was flat out honest about it. He just flat out said, we have guys that are going to, they know certain guys are going to leave early, but every year there's a couple guys that unexpectedly leave early for the NFL. And Urban said, we like to flip guys that are committed to other programs, but we won't be able to do that necessarily this year because those guys will have been signed with other programs. So he just flat out said he doesn't think, and he not only does he not like it for Ohio State, he said he's not sure it's good for college football. I just want you to comment on all that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, you're talking about a guy whose nickname is the Spatula, a guy who loves to flip recruits late in the process. So I'm not surprised that he's not a big fan of it. He also mentioned they're probably looking at 95% of the recruits are going to be signed, sealed, and delivered. So that pool of kids is going to be vastly shrunk down this recruiting cycle. So it's going to be interesting. The one thing that I'm excited to see is who are the kids that didn't sign, the kids that are kind of on the fence, wavering, things of that nature. That's what you want to look out for because of the coaching changes. There's guys getting fired left and right, so you're not sure who's going to be available as far as those kids that are uncommitted were committed and coaches are being fired. So that's kind of going to be the pool that you look for. But Ohio State, they should have 95% of their class already signed up. Hopefully you see guys like Emory Jones, guys that are on the fence, get signed till delivered in December. But the one thing that you can look forward to is, as a Ohio State fan, is you may see kids popping up on a radar that wasn't there before. Because guys who are committed to other schools and they don't sign on that early signing period, it's going to be like blood in the water for sharks. Guys are going to be coaches. They're going to be going after those kids heavily. And I think the other thing that really irks Urban about this, it's a numbers game, especially for a school like Ohio State where guys are declaring for the NFL. In December 20th, guys may not necessarily get their grades back from the NFL to determine if they want to make that jump or not. So you're kind of tight-roping your numbers there, and you're kind of risking potentially over-signing if guys that you were anticipating may leave early and they decide to stay in school.
Yeah, very well said. Transitioning to Ohio State football, the actual team itself this year, Jerome Baker will return this week. We had that in the boarding house earlier this week, and Urban did confirm that actually a couple days ago. Dante Booker, questionable. What do you make of Baker returning this week, Booker being questionable, and who should be the starting linebackers and in what order?
Yeah, the whole situation, it just smells fishy to me all around there. I mean, they were kind of being coy about it. I know you had dropped it on Twitter that you asked Greg Schiano, and he kind of brushed it off and really didn't want to go into details and pretty much delegated it to Urban Meyer. So I'm not sure what the whole situation is. A lot of people speculated that those guys were benched because of their efforts against Iowa. I know the Ohio State staff, they're saying it was injuries related, but you also have to take into account those guys finished the Iowa game all the way to the fourth quarter. So it's not like all of a sudden those guys were pulled out in the middle of the game due to injuries. They actually finished it. But me personally, I really like the way Tuff Borland played and Malik Harrison played against Michigan State. I feel like the linebacker play was much cleaner. Chris Worley, he needs to be kicked outside. He's not a Mike linebacker, whereas Tuff Borland, he's a true Mike who comes downhill and he's ready to thump somebody. I just didn't like the whole combination with Baker, Booker, and Worley there. Just in my opinion, the linebacking core was just too soft. Guys wasn't getting put on their ass like they should. Guys were missing assignments. Their effort was severely lacking, and you saw a spark from Tuff and Malik Harrison, and it was a vastly superior linebacker play against Michigan State. So if I was making the call, that's who I would go with. I know they're moving Jerome Baker back into the lineup, and this guy, he's been put on notice not only by Buckeye fans but other people out there. I know the Carpenter and Rothman show, they had an NFL scout come on there Wednesday and basically said Jerome Baker's going to have to answer questions from NFL teams on why he played so timid and soft this year trying to protect himself. He's not a big guy as is, and it's not necessarily a bad thing for the NFL, but if you're 220 soaking wet on a good day at linebacker, you need to show that aggression. You need to be out there playing with reckless abandon, and you didn't see that from Jerome Baker. And a lot of NFL teams, according to that scout, they're going to want to know why. Now, a lot of people believe that Baker has the NFL on his mind. That's why he's kind of had the Bradley Roby-itis this year. You know, who knows if that's true or not, but I can tell you what, the way he's played this year, he's played himself out of the early projections that he had coming into the season.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Buckeyes ranked number 9 in the college football playoff. If they win out, I know, other things need to happen, certain things need to happen, but just your gut feeling, the Buckeyes win out, are they in the CFP, Book?
My gut feeling tells me no. I think there's way too many variables that need to take place in front of them. If you're a Ohio State fan, you need to be rooting like crazy for Alabama to win out so that can wash out Auburn and Georgia, and you're also hoping Miami wins out. That can wash out Clemson. But the thing is, the committee is so in love with Clemson, even if Clemson has 2 losses, I don't know if the committee is willing to take Ohio State over Clemson just for the simple fact that those 2 losses that Clemson had, they're pretty much excusing that Syracuse loss to Clemson because they're stating that the quarterback got hurt mid-game, so they're basically washing that off their schedule, which I have no idea how they're even doing that. But I just think that Iowa loss, Ohio State's going to have to own that one. It's going to be carried around their neck like an anchor. And my gut feeling says no, Ohio State's not going to get in, but who knows? There's still a lot of football to be played. A lot of upsets can happen. Ohio State, they're going to need them to potentially win out because if Oklahoma loses 2 games, I don't see the committee necessarily jumping Ohio State over Oklahoma when Oklahoma beat them head-to-head. But you never know. They did it last year with Ohio State and Penn State, but they may give Ohio State the nod because Ohio State will be a Big Ten champion. But there's a lot of variables that have to take place in order for the Buckeyes to slide in there. But I will say this to Ohio State fans. Now, I could be completely wrong here because Phil Steele on Thursday on the Paul Feinbaum show, he came on there and it really ticked off a bunch of the SEC fans because he said if Ohio State wins out, he actually thinks the Buckeyes are going to be in there because based off his projections, he actually thinks a lot of those teams in front of Ohio State will lose. So, hey, Phil Steele thinks the Buckeyes are going to be in there if they win out. But my personal opinion is I think there's too many variables in play.
Buckeyes in Illinois tomorrow at the Horseshoe, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Be televised by ABC. Unfortunately, Brian Greasy will be one of the ones on the call. I actually like Steve Levy. I don't think he's a great college football announcer, but Brian Greasy's just terrible, and he hates Ohio State. But anyway, Buckeyes in Illinois tomorrow, senior day. A lot of great seniors playing their last game in the Horseshoe. Buckeyes favored by 41. Keeps going up every time I look at the point spread. I think it goes up another half point. The Buckeyes, and bad weather is expected here in Columbus tomorrow. I feel like, Book, they need to make sure this game is put away by halftime so they can rest everybody in the second half, not worry about targeting penalties in the second half, which would take somebody out for the first half of the Michigan game. Any concerns at all with the weather being bad and maybe Ohio State looking ahead? Just your thoughts on the game tomorrow.
Nah, I'm not concerned about it. Ohio State, they should just walk the dog with these guys. I got the Buckeyes blowing Illinois out 56-10, and I'm probably being generous even giving Illinois a touchdown there. I think Illinois, they'll get a late one once the backups are in there. But you make a great point about the targeting, considering how many targeting penalties Ohio State has been deemed with the last couple of weeks from this Big Ten officiating crew. So I totally agree with that. I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. So get those starters out of there, get the game well in hand in the first half, and then let's see what those second teamers can do. As long as Ohio State runs the football and dominates up front, this game should be a cakewalk for the Buckeyes.
I know a lot of people are saying the Buckeyes obviously need to root for Wisconsin tomorrow. I don't think any Buckeye fan is going to have a problem with that, rooting against Michigan. Your thoughts on that game? Michigan is 7-point dogs last time I checked. So, I think that could be a relatively close game. You think Wisconsin will take care of business tomorrow?
I think they will. I know Michigan, they're 0-15 in a sense of 2005, 2006 or something like that on the road against ranked opponents. So they haven't had any success going up against a ranked team on the road. So I'm looking for Wisconsin to go ahead and squeeze it out. I don't think it's going to be a blowout per se. Wisconsin, they do have the tendency to turn the football over. Hornibrook, he has 12 interceptions on the year. Michigan's defense, they could keep this game close there, but Michigan's offense is just god-awful. They've completed 7 passes to 3 wide receivers in the last, 3 games, or 7 passes to wide receivers in the last 3 games. Their right tackle, he's grading out one of the worst tackles in college football. Pretty much their 1970s football team with the ground and pound. The thing that you have to be worried about if you're a Michigan fan is a bunch of scrubs the last 3 to 4 weeks, and they did not allow Brandon Peters to even throw the football. Wisconsin's defense, they're not, the 86 Bears, but they're stingy enough to stack that box and make Michigan get out of their comfort zone. So that could be something to keep an eye on. But I think just the style of play between the two teams, the defenses will keep it close early on. But I got Wisconsin winning. Ohio State fans, they definitely need Wisconsin to win that game just so that they can have that top 5 opponent on the schedule come Big Ten championship.
Great insights, as always, from Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, J-Book. You catch his column every week on Bucknuts outside Columbus. You can follow him on Twitter at JBook37. Thank you very much, Jonah, and thank you to all listeners out there for tuning into the show. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land. Swag, 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 swag.